Welcome back to AP Lang. I'm Josie Dennis. Alright, settle down. And now we'll take more fan mail. This one's from Matthew Perry again. Mr. Perry, thank you so much for writing me. I'm so glad you're a fan of my show. Okay, this question, about Into the Wild, one of my favorite books. Alright, this one states, Gordon Young, who reviewed Into the Wild, said that McCandless did not die in vain, that his life was viable in many respects. Young asserts that McCandless was a profound American figure, uncompromising in his approach and thoroughly optimistic about the future. How is McCandless representative of American character? Or how does McCandless fall short of what it means to be an American? Indeed, does McCandless in any way represent everything that is wrong about American character? Wow, great question again. I see Chris as a very, controversial figure. In some ways, he represents everything that's good and beneficial about society, and in other ways, he represents everything that's wrong. American character. In this day and age, American character is very all over the place. Older generations see it as, we come to America, our rags to riches stories. You can make your opportunity, you can make your dreams come true, which is definitely seen in his parents, who made their own company. They went from rags to riches. They were wealthy beyond their imagination. And so people could say, well, that is the American dream. That's the American character. They represent it, and Chris completely devoids it. But in reality, we see that his parents, although they did follow the American dream, they weren't really happy. The happiness, they were fighting all the time. They even called for divorce and called their children to pick sides, which caused Chris and his sister to, stay away from their parents, and eventually, not the only reason, but a reason for Chris to leave. And Chris, although he completely rejects what Americans believe is the American dream, and he went from all these riches to complete rags, he gave all of his money to a charity, but on his journey throughout America, he was truly happy. He embraced his happiness, and he spread it to everybody that he met. And I feel like that's what Americans want. They claim that they want all this money and fame, but at the base of it is what they want is happiness. So in that way, Chris represents what's good about American culture, happiness found in the little things. But Americans see happiness as coming from materialistic goods, which is a big part. Like all the Walmarts and Targets, you think more stuff will make you happier. But as seen from hoarding shows and all that, that's not truly what makes you happy. And Chris embraces this. He rejects all the normal material goods, and he moves towards a more, spiritual and engaging existence that's based on not how much stuff you have, but how much you get out of life. And he does that going down the river. He does it even up to his death, where he writes in his journey. He sees it as not cleansing of the body, but cleansing of the soul. And everyone he meets just sees that in him, how he is just one with nature. And he finds that to be a very cleansing opportunity, which is abnormal in American society. So in that way, he's different from, the American figure, pioneer. And he does sort of have some of the flaws in American character, though. How some people have just optimism that can't be broken, which is great in some cases, but it often leads to demise because they refuse help or the necessary materials in order to embrace this I'm going to do it on my own attitude. And in this case, Chris really falters because everyone was offering him help. They offered him supplies, food, aid. You can stay here for a little bit and we can help each other out. But no, he wanted to do it on his own. He thought he would be good enough for himself. He doesn't need anybody else. And a lot of Americans suffer this too. They refuse help because they think it's a sign of weakness. They think it'll devoid them of the American dream. It's not the American dream if somebody helps you, which is completely false because, help is a key part in success. If you don't have that, then you have a very slim chance of succeeding. And, Chris, we see that where he leaves the equipment, he doesn't accept the help, and ultimately his lack of experience and his lack of materials in the Alaskan bush is what causes his death. I mean, obviously it was the mulberry berries, but, leading up to that, he was starving and he didn't have the right materials. So, Young is, right when he says he's an American figure. He does embody some of the characteristics that, most Americans experience. And we can relate to Chris because we see him in this new world. We all want to experience nature and oneness with it. And we've all wanted to explore before, but we've never had the opportunity. And Chris took that initiative. That's what a lot of Americans struggle with. We think we can do this, but we don't take initiative. So Chris does embody the tough things that we want as Americans, but we don't achieve. And also, he does fall short. He takes what we think we need, riches and, family and personal relationships, and he throws that out the window. He rejects all of that purposefully. And, which works for him, but as an American figure, that's not what we value at all. He values individualism and transcendentalism and nature when most Americans value, relationships, work, money, all of this stuff. And so he does have some of the flaws in American character, but ultimately he's seen as a step above what it means to be an American because we're so focused on material things, but he saw above that and he rose to a greater thing. And even though he died happy. He died in a way that was fulfilling rather than in a mundane, boring job that would give him no purpose. All right, thank you for writing, Mr. Perry. We'll be right back with some more fan letters.